the first thing you want to do is watch the client and notice what they're doing. But then you want to start making what they call flag moves. And a flag move is where you draw attention to the flag. You interrupt, you say, oh. And there's two ways to do a flag move that are generally useful. One is just saying, I notice that you're doing this thing. And you want to say it in as neutral a way as possible. I notice that you're twisting your wedding ring. I notice that you're scratching the back of your neck. I notice that your breathing got faster, or that you took a deep sigh right then. Just reporting back what you see in as neutral a way as possible without interpreting it. Like, oh, I noticed that you sighed and you looked really sad, or that you felt sad about that when you sighed. You know, just say, no, I noticed that you took a deep sigh. Because they can't argue with that. It's like they took a sigh. They could argue about if they were sad or not. Maybe they felt defeated. Maybe there was some other thing they felt. Or you can say, I noticed that when you said blah, 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 you did blah, blah, blah. So you link it to something that they said. And that's very useful also. And again, you want to just paraphrase what they said and then say it in a neutral way.
I can see that where that second one just adds some clarity, because if you say you just sighed, they might not even be aware that they sighed.
Oh, they probably won't be.
Yeah, so then you say, when you said this, you then it can pull them right back to that that second.
Exactly.
So I can see.
And that internal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, but either ones of those are good. And then you notice how they respond to your intervention. How do you respond to you bringing their attention to it? Do they act surprised? Do they act sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Or, well, so what? Like, do you get an emotional response to it? Because that's very interesting also, and can help you understand what the distress is. That's one reason why you want to say these things in as neutral a way as possible, because you don't want them to feel criticized for doing the things.
Right.
You want them to feel curious. It's like, oh, we're curious. What was that about? The whole reason to point it out is to be curious about it. But let's just practice that first step. That's the first step, and then there's two other steps you can do with it.
Okay.
So how about if we do a demonstration and then we observe the flags? Work on any like little upsets?
There's one about a tone of voice that gets used.
Yeah?
That triggers me.
Oh, what is that?
One of anger or upset, or one that makes me feel that someone's displeased with me, and will tend to make me pull away and pull into myself, and kind of shut down and be quiet rather than defending myself or coming back at them.
So your response is to pull back and protect yourself.
Yes, very, very much so. Yeah, I tend to not want to interact or to even protect myself or defend myself.
It's like head for the hills.
Definitely. Yes. And I need to learn to be able to express myself and let the person know what they're doing is making me feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And how to communicate that, because they may not really be meaning what I'm perceiving.
That's true.
And so just let them know that that's what they're doing is affecting me. They can clarify what their true meaning is.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that process of defending myself.
Yeah. All right, let's stop there.
Okay.
What did you see him doing? His face, his hands,
When he's
emphasis on words.
When he's talking inward, he actually brought his fingers this way and
Yeah.
said that this has happened. Then when he says, what I need to do is able to express, and he did the motions. I mean, exactly what he was.
Yeah, and did you notice where his fingers were going when he was going inward?
Towards his belly.
He
Power.
was doing this. I noticed that he was doing this a lot.
Ah, he was going like
I don't know
this.
if I'm the one who noticed that. And it was towards her, so I was wondering if it...
Yeah.
Probably happened some with her.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is me.
No, his
But-
fingers went into his belly.
Exactly.
But when he went to
Into his
express,
belly.
he came up.
It was from his chest.
Yes, it was from his chest.
So what does that tell you about where he's feeling vulnerable?
Power in his belly.
Mm-hmm.
In his belly. So
Powerless.
his belly's feeling
Yeah.
the vulnerability.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he wanted to express through his heart.
Yeah.
He
His upper
didn't
chest.
come up here, you know. like,
Yeah.
it was heartfelt. Like,
Uh-huh.
And how
What about
this?
his voice or, tone or face? Yeah.
No, I was going to say another thing about the hands. I noticed that in between he was doing this hand thing. Does that mean...
Fiddling.
Oh, yeah. What was he doing?
It was something like this.
Kind of like this.
Yeah.
Rubbing on his
Uh-huh.
knuckle.
Yeah.
Rubbing
One of
the
his
knuckles.
knuckles was being.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
it.
That's a good flag.
It looked like a ring twisting, but there was no ring. He was hanging onto his knuckle.
Yeah.
Where are my rings?
Anybody else
Question.
notice anything?
he was controlled to the extent his voice and that, like what I got, like from a man who doesn't want to come across too weak or something. So there was a bit of control.
Yeah.
There wasn't a
But-
lot of going up and down. There was just, I'm coming through.
Right.
You
Now, the thing about whether he doesn't want to come across weak, that's an interpretation.
Okay.
So we don't know if that's how he's experiencing it. All we know is that his voice is what? Loud or soft?
Monotone.
Monotone?
Monotone.
Kind of soft?
Yes.
Kind of soft monotone.
And he started out like this?
Mhm.
Yes, protecting this area.
Right, so the energy is closed
And
Yeah.
protective, yeah. I
and
Yeah.
protects, probably protective, but we don't know that. It's all we know
Oh,
is
God.
this
It's
is what he
close.
was doing.
Yeah, okay.
It's-
Okay.
He
So
was
don't
doing
put the
this.
judgments there, okay.
Right, we can extrapolate, but we want to ask him
Right.
about
Be curious about
and be curious about it. Like, well, what does this feel like? Yeah, great. So there's a lot that went on in about a minute or so, right?
It was half hour.
There was a lot going on. So there's constant flags and cues going on.
Wow.
That was great.
And you just pick the ones you want to focus on because they seem more interesting. Or they seem like they might lead in an interesting direction. So let's stop the camera and let's do a little practice.
Do we